missed a video a couple weeks ago, and my video last week was all about why I missed that video. As you can see, my voice is still a little bit gravelly, but that's okay, because today on The Writing Engineer, we're talking about horror. So, horror. It's not just about blood and guts and finding interesting ways to kill our characters, although that certainly can be part of it. Horror is about reaching into yourself, or more importantly, your readers, and finding those things that are truly hair-raising. This is one of the reasons why science fiction and horror go so well together. It's very easy to use technology to come up with amazing and horrific things. Let's take, for example, my main character in my first book. Her name is 13, because she doesn't remember what her name actually is, and she has a tattoo of the Roman numbers 13 on her neck. In my story, 13 has been kidnapped, experimented on, and had many parts of her body replaced with technology. But that's not the truly horrific part. In order to get the energy to power all the new technology which has been installed in her body, little tiny pumps have had to be put into her blood vessels to generate electricity from the flowing blood. But in order to get a high enough pressure inside her body, all of her veins and arteries have been replaced with nano-titanium gold-reinforced blood vessels. They also needed to replace her heart because her heart couldn't pump blood at high enough pressures to generate enough electricity. And the pump that they had to use could not fit inside her chest cavity. To make room for the pump, what they had to do was remove her reproductive organs and put it in her abdomen. Even this, though while truly terrible, might not be enough to push people over the edge from, oh, that's gross, or, hey, that's really terrible, to the truly hair-raising, spine-tingling horror that we're looking for. No. In my story, what makes this truly horrific is that she has absolutely no memory of it. She thinks she's normal with just a few weird things that are going on around her. And she finds out all of this information in one terrific information dump, although it's not really an information dump as in the writing sense. This information actually makes her question on whether or not she's still human. We can see this type of thing in the more well-written horror movies of our time. And those horror movies don't always have to include death, destruction, and blood. Let's take, for example, one of the more hair-raising movies that I saw when I was younger, called Raising Cain, in which the main character, who is portrayed by John Lithgow, the main character is just a normal guy. When out of the blue, someone shows up who looks exactly like him. This person tries to convince him to do terrible things, which he doesn't do to his credit, but those things start to happen anyway. And it builds up and things become more and more terrific and horrific until the climax where he is confronting his father, and we find out that his father is a psychiatrist who experimented on him when he was younger and split his personality. And he didn't even realize it. So he has two personalities, one, the normal, well-behaved person who's an upstanding member of society, and the other person who is a sadistic terror causer who does all sorts of horrific things to people who annoy him. This movie was, in fact, so horrific and suspenseful that on the way home after dropping my friends off, I kept having to look in the back seat of my car to make sure no one was there. To me, this is what makes horror so horrific. The emotional impact. Anyone can write a whole bunch of terrible things. In fact, I wrote a whole heck of a lot of them in my first book. People die pretty horrible deaths. Some of the more colorful phrase are ripe tomato squishing. But just raw blood and gore only make a slasher film. When you add to it a component that your main character has actually killed these people and she has no control over her body to prevent herself from doing it, you can push your story from just blood and guts all over the place to something that is truly horrific. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button below. And don't forget to subscribe on your way out. I'll leave all my contact information, website, Twitter handle, Facebook page, in the stuff below here, because I don't like to go on and on about contacting me in the way a lot of videos do. So, thank you very much, and enjoy the outtakes. Now, while this is truly terrible, ooh, that's gross, to he's just a normal guy. And,